All right. We seem to be the live, yo.
It says you are
It
live.
says we are live. And I had to wear the special shirt today because it's a special occasion. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
I was gonna say, what's today's T-shirts? But I'll talk later.
Yep, we'll talk about it later. But people know. If you know, you know. It was the best thing to happen.
If you know,
This
now you know.
It was the best thing to happen on Dynamite this week.
I know.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined on the other end of the tin cannon string by Nick. He's not running in. He's here with us. Nick. Guess he's gone now.
Well, that was a bad segue.
That was a bad segue. I was gonna give him the Brock Lesnar top billing, and now it's like,
The pyro failed.
Yeah, this is the.
He was here.
Yeah, he's on the call. All right, so new plan. Well, Easy's here.
Hey, everybody! Happy holidays.
CJ's here.
Yes, I am.
I'm gonna send Nick a message because he's on the call. That's weird.
Yes.
Say, Nick.
Why aren't you on the phone, Nick? Actually, wait, no, it's the Matt joke. Never mind. Where's the shirt, Matt?
Where's the shirt, Matt?
I low-key, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, I low-key miss the merch freak.
I miss BTE being good, but that's besides the point.
It's just like I'll watch it like on again, off again, and it's whatever.
Yeah, are you there?
I think I'd rather.
Nick, are you there?
I think I'd rather watch it like for a pay-per-view build-up or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, we gotta move on. Hopefully
he's okay. Is awesome.
Hopefully he's okay. So yeah, I met Nick, if he's still here. Went to high school with him. I met EZ at All In and Starcast, and I met CJ locally. We love wrestling. We love talking wrestling. We love sharing a love of pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, we are just fans. Our opinions that have any other fan. We avoid insider terms because we're not insiders. We're not wrestlers. We's just a bunch of marks. And yeah, so some stuff happened this week. I really hope Nick's all right.
I'm fine. I had to go on mute to take care of some parenting duties.
Gotcha.
We don't have kids.
We don't have kids. Yeah, so there's like his whole Nick. There's people are gonna be like wondering like what the fuck's going on. That's like some people are gonna watch this back, and that's some high level drama, and this is some payoff. This was like the heat of the match there. So we have some stuff to cover this week. Starting with AEW Rampage from this past Friday. TNT Championship match. Sammy Guevara defeated Tony Nese. This was a fun little match. Good title defense, good showing from Tony Nese. Kind of ticked all the boxes.
Well, I was at work, so I don't have any reactions considering where I am. We're on holiday hours.
Gotcha.
I do watch the highlights on YouTube, so yeah. If you haven't seen it, check out Rampage.
Jade Cargill was in a match and brawl with Thunder Rosa to set up their match in the TBS title tournament. So, kind of just was what it was.
You blinked, you missed it?
Yeah, pretty much. And finally, the main event was FTR versus Pac and they couldn't do the World Tag Team title match, so they just had half of them with Pac, and this was okay, but it was just kind of there. And I know it was brought up in the group chat. This is kind of what I was getting at. And the only reason I want to talk about this is because of this little segue here. Um, Nick brought up in our group chat that AEW's kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of their tag division. And I know that's not really a popular opinion that a lot of people have, but I wanna give him the chance to put that out there and put why he feels that way out there to a public audience in a much more easy to debate setting where we're actually talking and not texting.
Yeah, I just think that was one of the major drawing points of AEW from the beginning was that it had an extremely robust tag team, which it's not the first quote unquote competition to WWE that has had that. I think um, when I first got into Impact in the 2000s, there was a pretty strong tag division there, and Ring of Honor has off and on had some really strong tag divisions, but it definitely felt like an assembly of some of the best teams working in the business today at the time, and it still is. But I remember early Impact, it was a lot of there was always the multi-man matches, which they still do, but there was a lot more just like a tag team versus a tag team, and it felt like there was more. It was like its own division. It really felt like, which it still does to an extent, but it felt like there was, you know, feuds going on between tag teams that weren't over the titles, and I think a lot of that has got absorbed into the stable wars. I think of like Santana and Ortiz are the biggest example of this. Like a great tag team that should be doing um, more than they are, and that have done more than they are. I think they were on pay per view against the Bucks, not for the AEW tag titles.
Right.
Um, that was a non-title feud. And then there's other like Private Parties, another good example of a team that's kind of lost in the shuffle, and it's buried inside of a stable. And then there are other teams too that I feel like you need to have the teams that lose a lot, like for lack of a better word, the job teams. I can't think of a non insider term to
Lower
describe those
level.
guys, but yeah, lower level teams. But like you have people like Butcher and the Blade, who I really like, and I think they could do better than they are. And same with like the Hybrid 2. And then there's really doesn't seem to be much of a mid card. The mid card for the tag division is like the Acclaimed, and that's really it as far as who gets frequently used. There's like the same five teams have been in the main event fighting over the titles over and over for like this entire year, it feels like. So I think
And
it
we
would
have
be
and I say this with no disrespect intended. I understand that things happen, especially in this COVID world that we live in now. But we have tag team champions that sometimes are going to run into issues coming to the United States to drop their titles. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to put the belts on the Lucha Bros, but that's a very real
it
example
really
of something
wouldn't
that can
be if
happen.
there was other feuds. If there were other feuds going on in the tag division, it wouldn't feel like the division was dead without the champs.
Right.
If Hangman Page wasn't on or Sammy Guevara, either one, weren't on TV for a month, we would think it was weird, but it wouldn't feel like the singles division was
Right.
dead because there's other stuff going on in it. So, as slowly AEW has progressed the women's division and they've built up, that was a common criticism that us and a lot of people had against their women's division, that the only feud they had at any given time was for the championship. And it feels like they have forsaken the tag division to build up the women's division, but it's not a one or the other situation. I don't know why one has to go down for one to go up. I know there's only so much TV time, but um, I don't think that necessarily either of those get a ton of time that would knock the other one out. But I think that's my biggest thing I want them to do is to and not bury as in like they're jobbers, but unbury tag teams that are stuck in stables and let them really function on their own. FTR does that just fine. So I don't know why Santana Ortiz or Private Party or the original Two Dark Order or the Beaver Boys or any of those people. I
Or
don't
the
know why they
accountability
can't
buddies.
operate on their own too. Or what?
Or the accountability buddies.
Yeah, or the accountability buddies. Like, I don't think that just because, and I like the stables. I know it's a complaint that there's too many stables in AEW, and I don't dislike that at all. I think it's a very easy tool for storytelling. You can extend feuds and you can create new feuds that branch off of each other through that. And I don't think it's a problem, but I think you just have to fine tune how you're going to use your stables. Is it
Right.
always going to be a stable war, or is it going to be like they're loosely aligned? And there's no consistency in that. And I think that the tag teams really suffer because of it.
Right. I agree with everything you just said. I know that, they I like having the stables too because it kind of makes like one of the big things that I hated, or that I shouldn't say I hate, but has gotten really old and played out in the WWE is just, okay, we're gonna do a bunch of singles guy, two singles guys are gonna be tag team right now, and there's no reason for them to be together other than they just hate, you know, they hate who they're feuding with, so they're the tag team champions now or whatever. And like every now and again, that's not a bad idea. Like that's kind of cool, Like I thought it was cool in because when Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin beat Owen Hart and the Bulldog for the tag team titles because they didn't like the Hart Foundation, and I thought it was cool that the Rock and The Undertaker won the tag team titles together once because they were beefing with Edge and Christian. Like, all that stuff is, like, cool to me, but eventually, like, it got incredibly played out. It got, so bad that, like, you would have legit tag teams lose to, like, Randy or, like Batista and John Cena because, well, nobody can compete with John Cena and Batista. They're the greatest things that ever fucking walked the earth, And I feel that the stables keep that from happening in AEW. But now they're wanting to just have war between the stables, there is no Fish and Cole versus Jurassic Express program. It's the Elite versus Jurassic Express and Christian. So rather than have a program with either the Bucks or, Cole and Bobby Fish versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, you have a stable war. Rather than have Men of the Year versus Proud and Powerful, you have American Top Team versus the Inner Circle. And, like, it's fine. I like a good stable war, but there's a lot of give and take that needs to be done. It feels like right now they've gone all in on the stable wars and the women's division, which is great, but maybe instead of going completely all in on those, you hold back $1,000 worth of your chips and make a secondary feud over in the tag division. Anything else anybody wants to add?
I just go ahead.
I kind of wonder if maybe they've pulled back on the tag division a little bit because not necessarily because they're focusing more on the women's division and building that up, but because they're kind of trying to build this ground to say that they need to have a trios tag belt. So that they're pulling, I cannot explain why Santana and Ortiz are not more utilized, and I think unless there's a really good reason that we don't know, it's criminal how underutilized they've been.
Real quick
sidebar, especially the past year.
The last kind of secondary tag feud that we had that was literally just two tag teams and not a stable war was FTR versus Proud and Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after that ended, it was just like, whatever.
Yeah, and it didn't really end. It just kind of, like, fizzled. And there wasn't really a clear, definite end to it. And sometimes I wonder if, like, there's something wrong, if somebody's hurt that they just don't want to talk about. I hope that that's not the case, but in a way, I do kind of hope that there was a good reason that they're not because they're fantastic. They should have the tag team belts. They
Here's-
should, but it seems like they're focusing a lot on like, okay, well, here's Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and Christian, and here's the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, and there's all these tag teams plus one that make three. I'm really good at math, and it
Like
seems
Steiner
like that's no
Just letting
Real
everyone know I'm still alive. I'm just listening.
real math. But it kind of
There's
seems
141
like maybe
and
they're trying to build-
2/3% chance that she's good at math.
Let her finish.
Sorry, I had to build that one out.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that's where their focus is going, and I'm not saying it's right. I think I do agree that the tag division has the belts don't seem to hold as much credibility as they did the beginning of 2020. I don't put that all on the Lucha Brothers either. I think that just kind of the Young Bucks honestly holding them and being the bad guys they are, they played it right, but they kind of ended up being a little bit of a joke by the end of their reign. So it lessened the titles, and they haven't really been built back up. So they're not in as high prestige, and I think that that's a problem for their division too.
And I don't put it all on the Lucha Bros, but I do think, like, here's something I'm just going to say. Like, it's cool for FTR that they won the AAA tag belts, and it's cool that we're seeing more synergy between AAA and AEW. That's awesome. You know, and it's actually treated like they're actually holding the belts, and it seems like, hey, this is kind of a big deal for us to hold the belts, unlike Kenny Omega, who, like, unless it was just to go, look at me and look at what I have. I'm collecting the belt, you guys. The AAA belt that he, just kind of was not really brought up much when he was champion. But right now, like, how do I say this without, like, really pissing everyone off? If you're not... Why are you focusing on 2 sets of tag belts for one program when you don't even have multiple programs going on? Like, I would be more okay with the AAA tag belts being in play. And I understand that the Lucha Bros held both of them. I understand the logistics. But, like, I would be more okay with another company's tag belts being regularly featured on AEW programming if there was more programs going on. Like, if Proud and Powerful were the AEW tag team champions feuding with TH2, and then FTR and the Lucha Bros are doing their own thing for the, AAA tag belts, like, that's cool, that makes it feel like, hey, forbidden doors are open, and we're having these, things from other companies are bleeding into AEW, and things from AEW are bleeding into other companies, and that's great, that's what I'd like to see, but it's also one of those, like, why does one tag team feud need 2 sets of belts right now?
Yeah.
Like to me, this is one of those, like somebody should have lost a belt somewhere, and if AAA wants to keep the belts on FTR, that's great, but it's like, fucking give FTR both sets of tag belts, or give the Lucha Bros both sets of tag belts, and let's move on. Let's move the fuck on. EC, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so when I first was reading you guys talking about this discussion, then just got me thinking this really sounds conflicting here, because for a company that said from the start that they want to revolutionize the tag team division into main event status, frankly, I've actually yet to see AEW actually do this. We've not had a pay-per-view where the main event is the AEW Tag Team Championship on the line, or I guess maybe we're still waiting for any time the stakes will be set much higher or something, or winner take all, or I don't know, whatever. But anyways, but I don't know if it's
real quick. I'm gonna let you finish. Real quick sidebar on that. That definitely should have been the case at Full Gear in 2020 when it was FTR versus the Bucks. That should have been the main event, and I say that with all due respect to Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. That should have been the main event of that pay-per-view.
Moxley Kingston was a great fight, but that was not main event worthy. I'm sorry. But anyways, so like they're trying to build this into maybe we'll finally get more demand for a trios tag bout. Well, if that's the case, let's start striking the iron while it's still hot. I don't mind the cross promotion as much, but I guess I'd rather see some of the other promotions sending in their guys saying, "Hey, we want to send those belts back to AAA, Impact, New Japan, like insert other indie company here." Make it look like when the Hardys were like battling almost every indie company for their tag team championships. I'm not saying there should be one group in AEW that should hog all the belts, unlike what Kenny Omega did, but it's just good cross promotion to let others know that, hey, not only can you support AEW, we want you to support your local indie companies as well here. So I feel like if they want to go with that route about the tag belts and everything, then actually start promoting more about the other brands, saying like, hey, here's something you can learn about AAA, or here's something, if you didn't already know about Impact here, or had we had an ROH promotion, we would have saw, maybe they wouldn't have died in a way. But frankly, I'm kind of just indifferent with what's going on with the tag team division because frankly, just my own opinion is I want to see a tag team main event at a pay-per-view at one time. Like actually stick up to the word that you say tag teams can main event. Okay, I believe you. We had that at All In, and we've had that at so many Dynamites and Rampage. We've yet to see it happen for a pay-per-view. So what's going on here?
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely the last thing I thought would need addressed by this company, but
And
it's
I'm not
definitely
saying that the tag division is terrible either
No,
for
God.
AEW. They still have some of the best teams going. They just aren't featuring those teams. And if despite the fact that I'll like unashamedly say that AEW is my favorite wrestling company, if we're being fair, the WWE, the big dog in town, gets a lot of very deserved criticism for how they treat tag teams. But, and I kind of set the bar higher for AEW because I think that they generally put on such a good product and that their tag division has been good in the past. Like if the tag division in WWE looked like it does in AEW right now, I wouldn't really be complaining about it. But I kind of hold them to a higher standard as far as that goes. So yeah, it's not like I'm not saying this is the worst tag division or you know AEW's tag division is dead, but there's definitely a lot of work to be done to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Hopefully
And
that's what their New Year goals are. Just like once the world is slowly but surely like trying to get much better and getting back to normalcy, let's hopefully see the tag team division go out much stronger for 2022.
well, yeah, I agree with that. And
Maybe they should do a tag league or something. That would maybe just like a trophy based league.
Isn't that
yeah,
what they're trying to do with the
Something
Owen Hart Cup?
that's always a good. I don't know. I love tournaments in wrestling anyway, but some kind of
I
big
love tournaments wrestling
dynamite
too, but
diamond
Oh,
like
ring type of
we could
thing.
no,
But
we could do like the best in the world cup.
or
No,
something. But like I'm also saying
no.
um but I like tournaments too, but I also don't feel that like AEW should go full New Japan. It's like other than these like select 3 months out of the year, we're doing a tournament.
yeah,
Um,
and I don't mind that style of booking from New Japan. I kind of like that, but yeah, I wouldn't want that necessarily to be the case. But
I
I
like it
think
in New Japan, but I don't think I would like it with the way AEW set up
no,
and the way
well,
New
New Japan
Japan's set
doesn't
up.
have a weekly TV show is the thing.
Yeah.
New Japan can do that because they just are a touring company. But I think that it doesn't necessarily work. But I think that I look at like the added, for all his negativity that he justly gets as well. Vince Russo has done that a couple times with a couple different tournaments. You put a tournament in, and then out of that tournament, you can spin like 5 or 6 different feuds from a tournament. So it's kind of like if there's rough and you need a kickstart, put the tag tournament in, the winner of it gets a trophy and, whatever it can get to, you can do it every year if you want to, or you don't have to, but it's at
Right.
least some kind of accolade on your record if you win, and there's some kind of stakes to it. If you make it feel important, it is important. But then out of that tournament, you can then start featuring teams that are no longer, that are not in the title picture.
Before we get started, before we light the fuse and bring the boom and talk about Dynamite, I do want to point out something that I have found on Twitter. So we're all excited about Rampage tomorrow because Hook is making his debut, and
About time.
you know how like every bit of Hulk Hogan had the Hulkamaniacs, and Cena had his Chain Gang, and Kane had the Canaanites, and all that stuff. Well, Hook has his hookers, and I am a hooker. All right, time to light the fuse and bring the boom. So we start out with everyone's favorite segment except for mine, where actually my genuine surprise when we had CM Punk troll Long Island with MJF, he got booed. I lived vicariously through Long Island that night in booing CM Punk. Not because that he loved MJF, mind you, but it was just because they booed CM Punk.
It's mostly because he was taunting them that Chicago's better, and there were, my opinion, and this is coming from a Canadian, too many hockey jokes. It's like, we get it. The Islanders are trash.
He
and
took
they
a
haven't won a
lot
Stanley
of
Cup in a
shots.
long time.
It
And
was kind of
beating the Ottawa Senators was like Punk beating QT Marshall, which I actually laughed way too hard from that because born and raised in Toronto, we all hate Ottawa. But I find it pretty unique. That's like, this is something that normally we are used to. The bad guy is always booed no matter where he goes, and the good guy is always cheered wherever he or she goes. But in this case, like, this was near role reversal here, and I liked it.
See, here's what I didn't like
Punk
about it,
getting
though.
booed is like, I liked it.
Here's what I didn't like about it, though. So, okay, Punk's getting booed and MJF's getting the hero's welcome because they're in Long Island. Great. I don't like the idea of AEW and the announcers being like, oh, well, boy, this town sure is full of a bunch of shitty fucking people, am I right? Like, I didn't like the fact
part I'm like,
I didn't like how, like, basically you're just saying now, like, well, Long Island's full of a bunch of bad fucking people because they aren't they're liking MJF and they aren't cheering for CM Punk. That's what good people do, like the good people that live in Chicago.
Are you not aware that you're likely gonna have tourists there? Like myself, like I'm gonna go to Newark in January 5th, but does this mean I'm from New Jersey? Of course not, and God forsaken me, I would ever live in New Jersey.
But here's kind of getting back to the original point here. Like,
yeah,
I'm going back to in '97 when it was kind of Shawn and Undertaker and Austin versus the Hart Foundation. All kind of just crossing paths and what have you. When Raw and a pay-per-view was in Canada, the Hart Foundation were the all-conquering heroes. And they wrestled like good guys in Canada. They were treated like good guys in Canada. And, Taker and Shawn and Austin and Ken Shamrock and Goldust and the Road Warriors and all of them adjusted, and they played that part. I'm fine, but the announcers didn't go like, "Oh, well, these fucking Canadians. Let me tell you something. They fucking stupid, not cheering for Stone Cold Steve Austin." No, they just went like, "Well, we're in Canada."
Well, I won't go that far because, especially like any WrestleMania week, especially like the Raw after WrestleMania, they won't like flat out come and insult the crowd like these bunch of fucking idiots. But Vince does like to insult the crowds after WrestleMania with bigger, more ambiguous words. He will call he has like weird phrases that he will call night after WrestleMania crowds because they never cheer or boo the way he wants them to.
Well, no, but what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
like,
so everyone's
I'm talking
still
about the fact
hungover
that
from
I'm talking
WrestleMania.
about like we never. Obviously, like going back to '97, Stone Cold Steve Austin was even with was for all intents and purposes the top good guy in the WWF. And even though he would get booed in Canada wrestling Brett and Owen, like if they went back to Canada and he was wrestling Shawn Michaels, it'd be fine. Or he was wrestling, Mankind, he'd be fine. It wouldn't be a big deal. They just kind of portrayed it as like, well, in this situation, it's a road game for Shawn Michaels, it's a road game for Steve Austin. It's they didn't just kind of flat out try and say like, oh, well, these guys are sure stupid. Let me tell you something about these clowns that like these bad people. And it's like, to me, nobody. The one thing I've said about this feud and last night kind of highlighted is like, okay, credit to AEW for going in new directions, but if this is supposed to make me think anybody in this program is likable by any stretch of the imagination, nobody is. I don't really want to see anybody like thinking like a Mark. I don't want to see CM Punk win. I don't want to see MJF win. I just really these are two awful people that I just kind of like fuck both of them. That's how. And I could say that CM Punk is an awful person a little bit more now after his insults to Eddie Kingston and what he did in Long Island. It's like, okay, he's kind of a douche. This is kind of like he's coming across like a douche to me, and I'm not, using my own like original feelings of me just being not a fan of the dude. Now on camera, he has done things that have made it, in my opinion, very fair to interpret him as a bad person, and I don't really want to see anybody win this battle of the bad people that they are doing.
I don't. I get what you're saying, but I think that's a common, at least since the Attitude Era. Like Stone Cold used to stun good guys, too. Like it's not like out of super crazy for a good guy to be an asshole.
No.
It kind of threw me that he healed so much on the fans. Like it was like he walked out and got more boos than he anticipated and legitimately got angry and started ripping on the fans specifically. If he'd have just gone out and ripped JF and taken the boos, I don't think that I would have disliked this as much.
I thought he kind of played along with like the crowd pretty great because he know that MJF was gonna get cheered. So why not let's feed onto that and let's shit on Long Island for one night.
He played along with it if you're trying to get booed and get heat, but if you're the good guy, you don't want
You're supposed to kind of aw shucks it a little bit.
I thought the opposite. I thought that like he came out, excuse me, initially, and it was pretty mixed even after it was revealed it was CM Punk, like cheers and boos, and I feel like he just kept going back to the easy boos because he didn't get as booed as he thought he would. Because I think it's obviously from like the way everything was set up, they anticipated CM Punk to get booed and MJF to get cheered. But when there were still a lot of people chanting CM Punk and wearing CM Punk shirts and CM Punk signs. And
I was hearing that.
Yeah, so I think he came out and he was like, well, let's just really get him to go along with what the program is. And I don't necessarily think that was perfect, but I also think that everything he said, like literally his words, other than just making fun of the hockey team for over and over, like they made sense. They were like, you guys like this guy? Like, you guys must be like jerks because he's a giant jerk and everybody knows that except for here. So this town's, a town full of jerks basically, which is a weird move to just turn the whole crowd, like a town, into a bad guy because they cheer for a bad guy. But it's weirder for the announcers to do it.
It's just weird because it's just like one of those. It's like I just I don't understand. It's kind of like Grand, like what happened at our show was off camera, but it's one of those like it, I find it's like CM Punk like just can't live unless like he can't live unless he insults your hockey team. He's just like uh, Blues suck. I couldn't fucking go through this whole fucking promo,
Yeah.
even though I'm supposed to
Well,
be cheered.
That's a
Yeah,
cliche of
also,
punks.
Also,
I don't know
I
if you guys
wouldn't
know
be.
very many punks, but when
I
they get
wouldn't be.
old,
Mm.
Sorry. Also, I wouldn't be bragging too much about the Blackhawks, considering a certain scandal they've been going through. But that's beside the point. But
Well,
there were also some chants that Long Island were doing that I couldn't even hear it. I didn't even know whether they were saying "shut the fuck up" or were they chanting something else because I
they were
could not
saying,
hear
"Shut
it.
the fuck up."
Okay, so they were. I was like, I couldn't hear it because I think even Punk couldn't understand. Like, what are you guys saying? You were in Long Island. It's like, and again, it's like once it's funny to make fun of the Islanders, but then the next 3 times it's like, okay, we get it. The Islanders suck. You know, how about take a stab at all the other New York teams that suck because they all suck.
Yeah, it's
but
just
hockey teams is a cliche of like hipsters and punks. Like when they get older, they quit like rebelling and they just get into like craft beer and hockey. And
Mhm.
CM Punk is straight edge, so he
Although
has to double down on the
such as
hockey.
hockey.
although I did find this funny. Oh god, I forgot whether this was on a Dynamite or frick, maybe this was even at All Out that Jericho was making fun of the Blackhawks by having his dad in a Rangers jersey.
that was
That
way
was on Dynamite, though, right?
that was on Dynamite like before the pandemic started.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Jericho was a bad guy, so like you would do something like
It
that.
worked.
I know what it's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like to me like I
But-
to me it would have been more like okay, take a few pot shots and roll with it, but like
Yeah.
I'm saying
But
like
it just got old really quick.
as somebody who like has no sympathy towards Long Island, like if I was trying to like CM Punk, if I did not have my own reasons for thinking that CM Punk is kind of a douchebag, and I'm trying to just see the story, I'm like, okay, you're no saint either, so why should I think you're neat? You were coming across like as just as much of a douchebag as this guy did. It's literally like watching, you know, the two teams that you don't care about in like sports, you know, go off on each other. It's like watching like fucking Michigan and Ohio State people just be like, I'm like, I don't care about either one of you. Okay, yeah, you know, you're coach. I don't care. Don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. You're listening to your fan bases. Hey, great passion, but I don't. You're not making me like as a casual viewer want to see either one of you win this game. You're wanting to see me like you're having me want to see Bane happen in this game and the field implode, not root for a winner, and that's what I'm kind of feeling with this feud. It's kind of like I really just think you're both bad people.
From someone who literally had parents that went to Michigan and Ohio State, both the fan bases are overrated and sometimes a little annoying. And this is coming from a Bama fan.
Let's say should I bring up Auburn and Alabama fans?
Auburn is just they always think they're such shit, but it's like I don't give two shits.
All right, so we got some more to cover. We have a Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal with MJF having like the douchiest grand entrance ever. This is what they should have started with. I get you wanted to have CM Punk trolling, but like to me, this is what you should have started it with. Like, I rather than do that, I would have rather him come out with this douchey entrance and then had CM Punk do his mandatory, hey everyone, time for promo with CM Punk. And then him be like, so this is your, then him go into so this is your guy? You know, the guy that shows up in his Letterman's jacket when he's, you know, like how many years outside of high school? This is your guy? You know, the guy who drives a Ferrari to his high school, again, this long after he's, like, this is your guy. Like, you cheered that? Really? Really? Maybe one pot shot at the hockey team, and then go into the good part of the promo they did. It's like, hey, I get it. Dennis Rodman was an asshole, but then when he came to my team, he was my asshole, and therefore it's fine. I get it. If he would have came from, if they would have done all that, done the battle royal, and then had Punk do his deal, hey, then I would have at least understood. Like, hey, from a story perspective, CM Punk is a significantly more likable guy. I don't know. But thoughts on the Battle Royal? I thought this was a really well done Battle Royal. And Dante Martin's winning next
Closer
week.
and closer, we're seeing tension between Wardlow and MJF.
Mm-hmm. And Dante Martin is winning next week. I guarantee it. My one problem with all that is I feel like they kind of really rushed him turning on Team Taz. That felt like, okay, so he just signed in the last 2 weeks and then he turns on him again. Like, okay. Again, like, we're supposed to empathize with Leo Rush. He was kind of a douchebag for several weeks and hasn't done anything to redeem himself. From a storyline perspective, done anything to redeem himself. So I'm not really feeling this.
Turned on him.
I personally just did not give a shit about Leo Rush. It was awesome to see him that one time being the casino battle royale or whatever the hell he was in. It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's cool, but now it's like I just don't care. Like, are you gonna retire? Are you gonna be a manager? Like,
I like Leo.
pick something.
Leo
I
he
can't
had
get
one of my
behind him.
favorite matches recently. It was
I
him and
just can't
Dante
get behind
versus Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. That match was like amazing.
And I really do bet Leo Rush had his amazing moments even before going to WWE. Again, I don't care. I'm sorry. I just can't get behind you, man. You're a great person in real life. I bet that. As a wrestler, I just don't care. It's the same with me and the rest of the NASCAR fan base about Kyle Busch. I bet he's a great human being in real life. But as a driver, not only do I not care, but you suck.
He's kind of a whiny asshole, but we don't want to get on the racing tangent right now. But like,
he's rowdy after all.
CJ, this had a lot to do with your guy, Ricky Starks. What do you think of this storyline right now?
Bull crap.
Whoa.
No. Aside from that, I cannot get behind Leo. It's not because he's not talented. In many different ways. It's just I don't know when he's gonna decide to take his ball back and go home again. And it like I don't know why I'm supposed to be cheering for him as a good guy now, just because somebody turned on him. Like, okay, so you were a jerk and it backfired on you, but now it didn't backfire on you. So I don't think that he's supposed to be a good guy now. I think that they're both bad guys, but then that makes Team Taz good guys, and they're not good guys just because somebody turned on them. And so I'm wholly confused by the situation, and I'm just here for Ricky Starks. I am here for Taz because I do love Taz tying in some sort of thought to this, because I'm thinking, like, as he's turning, I'm like, homie, you signed a contract. So it's not like you just shook hands with the guys and like, I'm on your team now, guys. We're going to work together and be BFFs. He signed a legitimate contract. And while we don't know what that contract says, I did like that Taz is on commentary saying, this is breach of contract. This is da-da-da. I'm going to get him. I don't think that just a match with Hook should be the only repercussions for breach of contract.
Let's go, Hook.
I hope that they do dive more into that. Like, oh, well, now you can't wrestle and you're going to go down, or all of your winnings go to Team Taz, or, something like that. Or I saw the idea floated that Dante Martin wins the ring and then basically has to give it to Taz to put on Hook or somebody like that, because of the breach of contract. And for that tiny little minuscule hint that Taz dropped, I'll keep going with it. I'm interested in seeing where they go with that piece. Other than that, I had no interest in seeing him turn this fast again.
I was really dead confused. It's like, wait, I Dante's a bad guy, right? Like they
Yeah.
really just couldn't be. I really didn't mind Dante Martin being on Team Taz. It's just really
Should
this
have lasted a
soon.
little longer. There should have been a little. There should have been a little bit more like if he was
I would
supposed
have
to be a
made.
if he was
I
supposed to
would
be
have
a
pushed this all the way to Revolution.
exactly if he was supposed to be a mole at the end of the day, like give us enough reason to empathize with Leo Rush. You know, I know Leo's had some real life stuff happen to him, and that's all well and
Sucks.
good. I mean, like that's not good that it happened to him,
It's
but
not
like
well.
it's not good like all well and good that it happened to him. It's like it's all well and good that like you're using that to be like, hey, you know, this is why you should empathize with him. But it's still like, okay, so what if he didn't have personal tragedy? What were you gonna go with? Ironically, it's like the CM Punk Undertaker at WrestleMania feud. It's like, okay, so if Paul Bearer hadn't have died, what the fuck would you have been doing this feud on? What would have been happening if Paul Bearer wouldn't have died? What would you have been doing? That's kind of how I'm feeling. It's like, okay, so like now this is supposed to be like a seamless transition for Leo and Dante to go back to the good side of things, but it, if it wasn't for like real life tragedy that has unfortunately affected Leo Rush, it's like that's the only sticking point to well now he's good. It's like okay, it's sad, and I definitely my heart goes out, but
I read something. I think this was a tweet. It might have been like a comment in a YouTube video. I don't remember, but so I can't attribute it correctly. But I don't have any idea if this is where they're going, but it would be awesome if it is. And they're saying that they said, and I think it was a tweet, that Dante Martin turning on Team Taz and turning on Leo Rush in like such a quick time is him just like being young and dumb and thinking like, oh, I gotta just look out for myself in this business and not realizing that like he's pissing every single person in the company off and he's gonna get all these repercussions coming to him, even though he's gonna like get a modicum of success, like if he wins the ring or whatever, he's gonna be left with no friends for his brother to come back and kind of like bring them back into the fold or whatever. If
I'd be
that's
okay with
if that
that.
is where they're going, that's awesome.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's
great.
I don't remember who wrote that tweet, but it's an awesome storyline. So hopefully that is where they're going. But I think that even within the match, they could have made the impact, it made more of an impact because until they mentioned on commentary that he threw the armband off, I I just assumed this was like Rikishi throwing out too cool. This is just like a well, every man for himself type of thing.
Right.
It didn't really seem like a big epic betrayal. Like they didn't have any interplay really with him and Leo or like the rest of Team Taz like kind of went out on their own. I mean, which was just Will Hobbs, but um I don't know. I like the generally I think AEW does good battle royals and I liked this one too. But I feel like even within the singular story of this match, it lost some impact from him turning on Team Taz. So we'll see where it goes, I guess.
Let's see. But yeah, we're all in agreement that this was way too soon.
Yeah. Next match is an 8-man tag match. The Acclaimed and 2.0 versus Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes. Kind of going back to our original issue here. Like, it wasn't a bad match, but it was just like, okay, here we are consolidating 4 tag teams into one match for reasons when we could be building up storylines between, you could be having the Acclaimed going after Jurassic Express and a storyline with the Varsity Blondes and 2.0. Like, I'd be all for both of those tag team matches and storyline around them, but instead they're kind of just having a. They had a thrown together 8-man tag, so we could.
And the tag teams that are in stories in that are interwoven in singles feuds.
Yeah, like the
Like
like the
2.0 is
2.0
with Eddie
Danny
Kingston.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and and not a singles feud necessarily, but the Bucks are like not the Bucks, sorry. The Jurassic Express like last week or on Rampage or something, Christian cut the promo for them like that they're going after the belts and they're the number one contenders. So like out of that match, no new feuds like developed. And also, yeah, another like seemingly singles feud started with Varsity Blondes later in the night. So like spun out of that, no new tag team storylines outside of the title picture.
Right. It just kind
Instead,
of
like 2 new singles ones and a title picture feud.
in a match that was essentially we got to get 8 people on the card.
And it
Well,
was
and I think
good,
it,
but that's AEW. You're right. That is pretty emblematic of the whole issue. It's good wrestling. They're good teams. They're all good wrestlers.
But what does it mean?
But
Nothing.
yeah,
That match, in the grand scheme of everything, meant nothing except for, oh my God, what a banger! Why are you bitching about the match? Don't you know it was full of great, high-flying, fast-paced action? It's like,
and it
yeah.
built up Eddie Kingston and probably parts of the Inner Circle versus 2.0 and Garcia.
Like
No, wait a minute,
if
if
there would
I-
have been something spurned out of this, if rather than going with Malachi Black later on the show, if Varsity Blondes would have had a stare down with the Acclaimed, and like, hey, we're gonna pursue the Acclaimed, and like, I mean, they've had their run-ins in the past, but like, they're gonna continue the story and have some matches, and build up to Winter's Coming Revolution, the first Dynamite on TBS, with like a big match between the Acclaimed and the Varsity Blondes. That's fucking cool, and that's a lot better than a bunch of high-flying, gee golly jeeper great action in an 8-man tag.
And wait, didn't 2.0 just attack Chris Jericho a few weeks ago? I thought we were gonna get something like that. Like 2.0 was gonna like go after members of the Inner Circle or something. Like now
they
this is
attacked
throwing
Jericho
me
to
off
get
guard.
Jericho off TV because Jericho is off doing a European tour with Fozzy. So we're not
Okay,
going to.
but they still could have had like maybe Sammy and Hager or Braun Powerful
Well, they had
going after
or
2.0.
they did have Proud and Powerful.
Yeah, they had
Oh, okay.
on Ortiz
Right.
team up, who, by the way, are from New York that didn't have a match tonight, and they, by God, better have one on Rampage because that's dumb and a waste if they didn't. Just to have the back
I
screen.
don't know if Braun Powerful is fighting on Rampage.
I bet
That-
they're on
I
Dark.
saw the card briefly, but if they are on the card, that's awesome.
They have to
bad.
be on Dark because he had his face paint on.
You would think, but that's
Must
still a
be,
waste.
yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
agree.
That's a waste.
I know a lot of talents on Dark, but Dark, especially now that you have Rampage and you have more TV time for these things, we shouldn't be. There's no reason to say, well, you should be watching Dark for more tag teams when you have fucking Rampage.
This
When you
match
have-
would have been better if it was Kingston and Proud and Powerful versus 2.0 and Garcia. At least that furthers
Yes.
the storyline.
I think that's the whole reason why they had this big match is to further that storyline. So they took, 8 people to further the storyline into 2-3-man tags.
So here's
Yeah.
Rampage for tomorrow. We got the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line between Luchas and FTR. You got Adam Cole versus Wheeler Yuta, Ruby Soho, Ty Conti, Anna Jay against Nyla Rose, The Bunny, and Penelope Ford because, okay. And then Hook versus Fuego del Sol. That is literally your match card. So yeah, they wasted it.
Yeah.
Wasted.
Wasted. All
Wasted
right.
like Grand Theft Auto.
All right. So next match is the Young Bucks versus Rocky Romero and Chuck Taylor. This was the second best match of the night. But the best moment of the night because this wonderful woman came back. Son was with her, but Sue was back in her van. Yeah, yeah, Sue. Fuck yeah. Sell for Sue. Sell for Sue.
But wait, somebody else came back.
Sue brought with her.
Sue was not alone.
I'm sorry, I was just distracted with how awesome it was that Sue's back. And, for all intents and purposes right now, Sue's in chaos. Like, Sue's joined. Sue and Kazuchika Okada are in the same faction right now. I'm just saying.
Are we 100% sure that it's official that Sue's part of Chaos?
Let's-
Just because she's related to Chuck Taylor.
She's
related-
the van driver for Chaos.
She's the van driver for Chaos, yeah. She's
She
related.
brings cookies. Who
Yeah,
doesn't want her in their faction?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
the
would love
Dark
to
Order
see
did try
her
recruit
bake
her.
cookies and milk for Tomohiro Ishii and then him eat them and give like an approving head nod.
Yeah.
That's
That
I
would-
want to, I would need to see that at
Yeah.
Wrestle Kingdom now.
Or how about they all go out for TGI Fridays and Sue picks up the tab?
They don't do TGI Fridays. They don't do that. These are this isn't the elite. This is chaos. But
It's
yeah,
authentic Japanese cuisine.
it's fine Japanese cuisine for the
Maybe.
elite, but the elite are the ones that eat it. But yes, Trent came back, which I was actually surprised. I was marking out for the whole
Trent.
thing because I honestly didn't know if Trent would ever wrestle again because he had some very
Yeah,
serious
the
injuries.
spinal fusion surgery or something.
Final
right?
fusion surgery.
Yep.
Like that sounds career ending, right?
Yeah, it
there.
does.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know anything about athletic injuries, but the words sound scary.
Oh yeah.
So after like Trent came back, and then when they have the song playing, like what was the song they were playing after they beat up the Elite?
Roppongi Vice.
Roppongi Vice.
I was like, what? Is that a song I'm supposed to know? Is that
It was
Chaos? Is that
Rocky
Sue's song?
Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta were a tag team in New Japan called Roppongi Vice. Like that was
A
he
very
was
good
best.
tag team.
He was bet. They're a damn good tag team. They beat the Young Bucks for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships at Wrestle Kingdom once. So like when Trent was in the United States and Ring of Honor, he would more often than not team up with Chuck for Best Friends. When he's in Japan, he would team up with Rocky for Roppongi Vice. And that was Rocky Romero actually rapping the song, and there's a few like little other little parts from Trent Beretta, but I'm no rap fan. I know Nick is the rap fan in this chat, but it's kind of a good song.
So Miss Ace just said that Jesus wept because Sue is part of Chaos.
Yeah, Jesus
And
did
Rocky
weep.
confirmed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rocky confirmed it. So yeah, there we go. So yes, I definitely Chaos was Shinsuke.
Now
Yes.
I would love to see an alternative universe where Sue is part of Bullet Club.
Don't ruin Sue.
I said alternative universe.
I don't want to be
Like
part
the
of that.
multiverse.
That is the Thanos universe that I don't want to get into. That is the fucking universe where Zoom won, and I don't like it.
Wait, universe where who
I'm-
won?
Zoom from the Flash.
Oh, okay.
Good to
I'm
see
not a
Trent back
DC
though.
fan.
Maybe they can,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, him and Chuck can go back to, they
Or-
had
or
some
he's so-
dang
or-
good matches
or
in the
he's
tag
so-
division.
Or he's so injured they can't do anything. He's just going to manage Wheeler, but still, it's just nice.
He
to
was
see
throwing out some pretty crazy moves. He wasn't just like punch kicking. He was throwing out like
punching,
dragon suplexes and
punching,
shit.
punching. There's one other person that's going to
Only.
get that reference, and if they're watching, they'll appreciate
There might be
it.
two.
Maybe two. Ruby Soho gets attacked, setting up that tag match we talked about earlier.
That was not a great segment. It was super rushed. Everybody like immediately just jumped on screen to attack each other.
Hurry, CM Punk took too much time.
CM Punk had to get in 8 more fucking hockey jokes, so we gotta hurry the segment up. Here's another but here's the segment that's gonna be blamed for it because Cody Rhodes was involved in it. Fucking Cody. If only he'd just like leave AEW and never wrestle again, then the Ruby Soho segment would have been better. Fucking egotistical prick. Hope he fucking just wish that fire was a lot hotter. God, I hate him. Anyway,
Or you were gonna get it, but okay.
what's up?
Oh my god.
But anyway,
Yep.
great segment. Sammy's out there. He's interrupted by Cody. And anybody that thinks that Cody's not, like, really playing into this shit now, yeah, like, he...
This is the highlight I actually saw before we went on the air. I was like, oh my god.
He
Cody.
literally says, from one good guy to another, and then acts like he's going, oh, wait, I forgot I'm going up this side. Yep. Yeah, come on.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It's Troll Cody. Is it the greatest thing to ever happen? No. Like, I can see why people are kind of not digging Troll Cody, and they're thinking just pick a side and get there. But on the
Well,
flip
we
side,
did have
on the flip
we
side,
did
when I
get
hear
real
people,
trolls of Ethan Page.
But on the flip side, when I all the comments I said in jest that I actually did read on Twitter about Cody Rhodes, I can be okay with the man doing a little bit of trolling. I don't know.
Should be so what's this Christmas thing though? He said like on Christmas Day, are they gonna have
They're gonna have
Dynamite on?
Yeah, because it's Friday, isn't it?
or a Rampage. Yeah,
No, this is
no.
on Saturday.
I guess they're gonna have a special.
Maybe a Saturday Night Dynamite. Wait.
Maybe they're getting preempted. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see
24
if
hours of a Christmas story. Of course, they're getting preempted.
Yeah. Right. The greatest Christmas
That-
movie of all time.
Yeah,
I-
I bet they get preempted to Saturday.
No, but Saturday is Christmas, and that's where the 24 hours of a Christmas story would be. Why aren't they doing it on the 22nd on a Wednesday? I am confused.
For
Well-
the 24th on Christmas Eve for Rampage,
Yeah,
which would be their regular time
Oh
slot.
yes. That makes sense actually.
I don't.
It'll be on Rampage.
I don't know what they're talking about there. That's something they really need to explain a little better.
No, it's Christmas because they'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina. So December 22nd, they got like tickets for like AEW Dynamite and Rampage. So, okay, makes sense.
Well, we're trying to figure out when Rampage is airing, though, because he
It
said
will likely be the 24th.
Okay, so that makes sense now because they do 24 hours of a Christmas story starting on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So that
Let me-
would preempt Rampage, which
Yes,
would
okay.
maybe
For
Oh.
somebody,
put it on
who
the
works-
20.
let me explain for someone who actually works at the Christmas Story house. So yeah, the 24 hours of Christmas Story, likely, if I'm not mistaken, it starts on like the night of Christmas Eve and then it ends on the night of Christmas Day, if that makes
There
sense.
you
So,
go.
And,
so
like,
Rampage
and it
would
airs
be
on TBS.
yes.
Rampage will air on TNT because TNT does not show the movie. This is all on TBS.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Christmas Story is getting knocked
Yeah.
off the top 5 list for Die Hard.
There was only, I think, one occasion where I saw, I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, was last year. We had 24 Hours of Christmas Story on TBS and TNT because of a certain something that let's please not talk about anymore.
I don't know. I know I watched it because I had fucking COVID. That's the only thing I know.
Same here.
Yeah. But yeah, like
And it is still the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
it's up there. It's flexing.
You shut your whore mouth.
I'm saying like I'd say probably yeah, but I mean if it's not, it's near the top. If it's
I-
you know,
I-
Come to Cleveland.
if
I
it's
will
not-
show you guys why it's awesome.
let's say if it is if it's not Richard
And I will
Petty,
be
if
in
it's
the
not
damn
Richard,
bunny.
if it's
I'll
not
be in
Richard
the damn
Petty, it's
bunny
Dale
suit for you
Earnhart
guys.
or Jimmy Johnson. It's one of those two. It's one of the. It's
I'm going to be in the bunny suit for you guys if you ever take my tours. I'm not kidding. I have a bunny suit. Oh,
Is it pink?
Where
Are you a pink
was-
nightmare?
yes.
Okay, you gotta be a pink nightmare. But yeah, so first of all, you just notice a tangent, but you also notice like some legit confusion and a legit four friends. Aha! That's what's going on moment.
Good luck having anybody watch it if there's that much confusion about it, especially given it's a holiday.
This is fine.
Yeah, Ethan Page said Dan Lambert's coming back, and
Dan Lambert's coming back.
Boo.
Boo, but secretly,
A fatter Don Callis is coming back.
boo, but secretly, hooray, because he's kind of the bad guy that AEW needs, but boo. The right kind of boo. Jamie Hayter with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and check her out right up there on the top spot, right up there. Versus Rio. This was a fun little match.
I like this.
Keeping up with the storyline for Rio and Britt, building up to their title match. So kudos there.
I would like to not rescind because I stand by the things I've said before, but I have this is the second to maybe third week in a row that Jamie Hayter has put on a really good match. She really fell extremely flat for me the first couple months she was there. I just didn't like her matches, and there seemed to be a lot of botching, and it just wasn't clicking for me. But whatever, she's hit her stride, and I get Jamie Hayter now because she's put on some bangers. So I was wrong. wasn't wrong about those matches, but I was wrong about assuming that was what all her matches would be like.
So we touched on this earlier. Varsity Blondes were getting interviewed, and then Malachi Black came out and blacklisted Julia Hart and Brian Pillman Jr. And I really hope they're not splitting up the Varsity Blondes to be with fucking Malachi Black. I really,
That would be I don't think that's. I didn't get that impression at all.
Oh, there is actually something to address. I don't know when the hell this happened, but I read online that apparently the lights went out and then they came back on during a broadcast. Or was it on Dynamite or no? So I didn't see it.
I
I
don't
just
remember
read
that.
it
I
online.
don't remember if it did. I didn't remember it.
It was like went blue, then went red, and some people were.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah.
In the Diamond Ring Battle Royal thing.
Oh, so it was in Battle Royale. Okay.
Yeah, like because I remember Ricky Starks like standing there, and they weren't like actually wrestling. It was like the post match or something like that, and it went like black and then all blue and then all red, and I'm like, oh god, is the Fiend here? And
or maybe they're teasing somebody else. That could honestly
not here.
That can mean anybody at this point. It could be Kevin Steen. It could be Johnny Gargano. It could be Kyle O'Reilly.
All right. There's somebody in here that says Vask.tech, and you are a spam bot, and I am trying to remove you.
Oh, spam bot to AEW confirmed.
Yeah, let me see if I have to go down here. See if I can find a way.
We made it. We have spam bots.
We have spam bots. We are here now.
Oh, so are we sponsored by Robocall now?
All right.
We need a SeatGeek sponsor for this shit.
Oh, there it is. There's the.
Actually, you know what? You know what company that is really sponsoring anybody these days is Raycon.
Report.
That's true. Blue Chew.
I want to commercial content or
Better
spam.
help.
Report.
Omaha Steaks.
Okay.
HelloFresh.
Yep.
Express
Sorry
VPN.
about that, but yeah. Bye bye spam. You banned.
We need sponsors, yo.
Need sponsors. But yeah.
Preferably SeatGeek.
Especially SeatGeek would be perfect. Yes.
Yes, Athletic Geek, SeatGeek. Come on, it makes sense.
And NordVPN and Raid Shadow Legends and all that good stuff. Come on!
Absolutely freaking not on Raid Shadow Legends. I will quit this show.
They're gonna pay me, like, unless it's like something like completely horrible and some like product I don't support, like CM Punk or anything.
No, screw that. We will sell out.
By ice cream bars?
Yeah, get that money.
We are sellouts. Please give money.
Yeah.
Show's brought to you by Bad Dragons
money or
furry dildos.
That's so sad.
We are wrestling fans. We are huge marks. We will sell your shit.
Pro Wrestling Tees, give us some money. There you go.
They don't give us any money. They need money. Main event time. Main event time.
Sell merchandise and then just
time to talk. It's time for the main event.
Wrong show.
Good. Also, I hate that line so much.
I love it. I fucking Mark Henry.
I may say it myself, but it's like, oh my god.
Love it. Fuck yeah. Mark Henry makes Rampage.
It ranks up
great.
there on things that should not exist in AEW, just like the Accountability Buddies. Sorry, not sorry.
What is it with these?
Anyways,
what is it with these
time.
Canadians not liking greatness?
Woo!
American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus John Silver. I thought this match was done the exact way it needed to be done. John Silver was John Silver was the best like guy in the Dark Order so far, like the one with the most credibility. He's the first one to jeopardize Bryan. You know, wasn't just a few little hope spots like Alan Angels and Colt Cabana. Even Colt Cabana had like he's one where he fired up and like Bryan, you felt Bryan might actually lose this one for a second, and then just like I said, all right, he's going. No, he's not. Damn it, I'm sad. And I also want to say this was the Planet's champion, who's a vegan, versus the Meat Man.
The meatless man versus the meat man. The man who can actually make Bryan Danielson look pretty tall, unfortunately. It's not a problem. It's fine.
What the fuck? I love that line and caught on with the crowd.
I don't know why this match is the one that made me realize it, which I mean, I guess I probably did
Oh,
already.
okay.
But this is very
I'd buy that
obviously
shirt, Miss S. Sorry,
this is very obviously was John Moxley's thing to do now. Like, I think it's because I was thinking of John Moxley destroying 10 in that tournament, and that Danielson never wrestled 10, and he wrestled Evil Uno, who's his tag guy, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is just literally they just slotted him in here. This is supposed to be Moxley.
But it's turned out really well because.
Oh no,
you know,
no, I'm not saying that as a negative. I just for whatever reason I should have realized that like before it even happened. But I was just like, oh yeah, so this was in if this was Moxley, he would have already taken care of 10.
Yeah.
Like this would have been. So that just I don't know, whatever reason I just realized that tonight. But he's knocked it out of the park for sure.
He's knocked out of the park to the point where, like, do we really want him to go back to the good side of things when he's done,
No.
or?
I want him to chill on this bad side for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind Brian Danielson like the baddie.
Yeah, no, not at
We
all.
could really use it.
Yeah.
It's fine. We have two
He
good
could
guy
call us all
champions right now.
fickle.
I want to see Danielson versus Darby Allin as the next feud.
Yes.
That'll be a good one.
You know,
Yes.
here's the great thing. He could bring in Redbeard. No? Eric Rowan?
Yeah.
No?
I kind of want Brian Danielson to be a lone wolf at this point.
I know.
He does want to do stable though. And
Yeah, but
very
he's-
Yeah,
specifically.
I read that.
And he very specifically wants Daniel Garcia in the stable.
Yeah, he wants Daniel
Oh.
Garcia, and that would be I'm.
You
here
could call
for
it
that.
PETA.
He wants everyone with either Daniel or Brian. So it's Brian Cage, Daniel Garcia, Brian Danielson.
Brian Cage.
Who else?
Brian Danielson and Brian Cage. That is a tag team I would love to see.
Daniel Garcia. Who else? Who else has Brian or
That might be it.
Yeah, Brian Pillman Jr.
Brian, there
Yeah.
you go, Brian Pillman Jr.
Any more Daniels?
Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels.
CD, and I missed him.
Where you at, TK?
Yeah. Hey, that's money.
I'm
That's
right
money.
here with all your good ideas.
This whole silly idea reminds me of a friend of mine.
Wait, Dan Lambert.
Yes, Dan Lambert.
Dan
Yes!
Lambert and Brian Alvarez.
Brian
is the
Danielson to
spokesman.
American
Brian
Top Team
Alvarez is there.
confirmed.
Yes.
Yes.
This reminds me just like how ridiculous this is. So on SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, the Great Khali was not on there, so my friend created the Great Khali and put him in a stable with Daivari, who was on the game, and called it the Great Guys.
And yet it's funny that Muhammad Hassan was in the game.
Yeah, but Muhammad Sun wasn't in the Great Guys. It was only the Great Khali. Created the CAW, Great Khali, and Daivari, the Great Guys. Brian Myers. Yeah, Brian Myers is there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
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 We
Oh,
gotta-
the Brian Kendrick.
yes. Oh, you even got
Okay, yeah.
you got a Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy tie in there. Yeah, this is nice. This is nice. I'm liking this. I'm liking this idea. This is something we got to do this.
It's gone off the rails so quickly.
So
What's
that
the
was
name of the stable though?
Wait, what about
Daniel
Brian Zane?
Brian Zane. Yes.
If they have 3 managers now. If Dan Lambert, Brian Alvarez, and Brian Zane.
Well, the stable is bigger than the Bullet Club at this
And Danny
point,
Davis.
Danny Davis. He's their crooked referee.
Hold up. I'm literally gonna find some wrestlers named Brian.
If Brian Clark, Raph.
Oh yeah, Brian Clark.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm literally looking around my room right now, like okay. There any other?
If he was still around, Brian Christopher.
Yeah, he would have.
Or Brian Adams? Yeah, they'd been good. Yeah. All right,
The
so
team should just be called Brian Danielson's Daniels and Brian's.
Brian Danielson's Daniels.
Those are the Bryans. Like the mamas and papas.
Brian Danielson's like, okay, so when we start playing Wrestling Empire or Fire Pro again, this has got to be a stable. Like, this has got to happen now.
That's a PEE stable if I've ever heard of
Yeah,
one.
yes, it is. PEE, professional entertainment for everyone. Yep, yep. And speaking of PEE, the promotion that we were on our way to when PEE was born, Ring of Honor, is running their last show this weekend. And unfortunately, their world champion Bandito got COVID. So, are we even going to have the world champion on their final show, or what could be their final show?
Dang.
So, here's my question: Is anybody buying this? Love the sound of stable. See, we got fan support. We got fan support.
How much is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna look. Maybe that might be. I'm not gonna watch it live because CJ and I will be at Stride Pro Wrestling in Carterville, Illinois. Check it out. But I don't know. I'm thinking
If
about
it's
it.
under 20, I might buy it.
It's like I've had my issues with Ring of Honor, and especially in another chat where Nick and I talk wrestling. There's somebody else that's kind of not the biggest AEW fan, but kind of has this empathy and these, oh, I feel so bad for Ring of Honor, and I kind of don't have I don't really have kind of that, I don't really feel sorry for them because I know it's their own fault why they're in the mess they're in right now. But, I will say Ring of Honor is what was a big reason, was a big part of my life, was a big reason why I kept watching wrestling, and is the foundation of why we have AEW and the wrestling business we have today. And I'm thinking about getting the pay-per-view just as kind of if this is it for Ring of Honor, I'll at least be here for it. I may have soured on my support, during the Cornette and the Bully Ray time periods, and what have you, but if it's around $20-$25, I'll be tempted to buy it just to at least say I watched the show.
It is $25 on Fight TV.
All right, so we might have to get that one.
Or $13 if you have Honor Club, which they're still honoring that subscription apparently. So.
Wow.
Well, I'm sure Honor Club will still be up during the shutdown.
And soon Honor Club will turn to the WWE Network. Nobody will give a shit anymore unless you don't live in the U.S.
Well, I really don't want them to get bought by the WWE Network. Like, if anybody,
No.
I definitely don't want them to get bought by the WWE Network. Like, if
2 years ago, yeah, but with the rate, like the trending rate of how I think WWE is going to play out corporately and Peacock, like they're not going to care to put Ring of Honor stuff on there.
Yeah. And also other news starting next year, WWE Home Video is done. There's going to be no more WWE DVDs produced.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
So we're not.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either because we're going away from that. But somebody who could sell some DVDs, and probably because we're the diehard fan base and would buy them. AEW.
They sell DVDs.
They sell the DVDs on Pro Wrestling Tees.
I know, but that's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying, hey, we could have, if AEW, if this is the end of Ring of Honor and somebody's got to buy that library, if AEW bought it, we could have All In on DVD now. We could have a Bryan Danielson compilation. We could have a Kenny Omega compilation, a Young Bucks compilation, a Adam Cole compilation.
I'm shocked. Why do we not have that yet? Like, wait
so that's
because they don't have that.
Where he's going with it is because WWE Home Video wasn't just like, oh, they took their pay-per-views and their shows and they converted it to DVD or VHS in the back in the day and sold it to us. They would go through and they would make these compilation videos like Best of Stone Cold Steve Austin or Best of The Rock. Watch this whole feud play out, and then they got the network and it made that division kind of irrelevant. And rather than over time wrapping divisions into each other, they never did. They just made new ones and hired new people, and it's a whole corporate mess on their side, which is a discussion for another day. But what AEW could do is make a division or have somebody assigned to making compilation videos like that if they could get somebody else's library, such as ROH, where most of their talent have originated.
And
They've
answer.
asked for it. ROH isn't at this point interested in selling at a price that anybody else is willing to pay.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
I think.
that tape, that library is valuable to whoever buy. Like, it's not going to be cheap.
For right now, it's really valuable to the media company that owns it, because even though we won't be getting new ROH, we will still be getting weekly ROH like playbacks. The video
But
library
what money
is
value will Sinclair Broadcasting even have with ROH?
For right
This is
now,
Like
it's
explaining.
really just
it's
DVD
content.
sales
Content.
alone? Like really?
It's not necessarily in the actual value of like consumer sales. It's the value in ROH right now is that it's content for their channels. It's
You can
something
put
that
the
they can
best of
put
Chris
on.
Hero on TV for
Mhm.
2 hours, and that fills up a
Impact
2-hour time block that was free.
Yeah, Impact does this all the time. They do Impact in 60 after most of the new shows. They do like a throwback for 60 minutes. Sometimes it's like the best of, like they've done a best of Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. They've gone back and like, oh, let's watch. They'll show their old pay-per-views at the Impact in 60, like highlight reels. It's content. It's something that channel doesn't have to think about. They don't have to buy the rights to a movie. They don't have to buy new television shows and in syndication or create new content. It's 52 weeks a year. They have the content for that 1 hour or 2 hour time slot. They don't have to worry about it.
And there's
That's
enough
the
Ring of
value of
Honor
ROH.
shows that they could put, if they just need an hour of time a week, they got it. Oh,
Yeah.
they got it.
Yeah.
And people will be cruising through the channels and go, is that fucking CM Punk? Is that fucking Bryan Danielson? Is that fucking Kenny Omega?
Ring of Honor is on all the time on Stadium TV on Sling.
Yep.
Like every time I put the guide on it, and I watch it sometimes. Sometimes it's newer, sometimes it's older. But also, I found out, speaking of this area, on Pluto TV, there's an Impact channel
I know, I
that
do watch
24
that.
hours a day plays Impact. I
watched a
watch
little
that
bit of that.
occasionally too. Yeah, it's kind of cool, and they'll go back to like the weekly pay-per-view days, and then they'll go all the way up to like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. I saw a lot of weekly pay-per-view stuff I'd never seen, just like being bored and watching Pluto one day
Yeah.
back in 2018. But yeah, I want to check it out. You know, I feel sad. You know, I know kind of was accused of not having any empathy because I'm all big into AEW now in another chat. But like, I have empathy. It's just kind of a matter of, you know, hey, don't touch the stove. Don't touch the stove. If you're gonna touch the stove, you're gonna burn your hand. Yeah, that stove's hot. Maybe you shouldn't touch it. Why are you touching the stove again? Like, that's about how I feel about Ring
You
of
know,
Honor.
I think we've talked a lot about NXT, WWE's buying up people, and then the creation of AEW, like essentially killing the indies. It's seeming now like the indies are getting a lot more buzz, and it's not just GCW. Like, I think that Ring of Honor, this is even more so. Like, Impact people, AEW people being able to work indie shows, Ring of Honor now releasing their whole people, WWE doing all these releases. I think there's a potential for the indie scene to like spring back up faster than we had thought.
There's the potential for that, but there's also kind of like, okay, here's all these wrestlers on the market. AEW can't sign them all. Ring of Honor might be done. Impact definitely can't sign them all. GCW can book a few. NWA, I mean, well, we'll talk a little bit about NWA here in a minute, but you know, they probably should bring in some of those names because they need some fresh talent, but you know, it is one of those things like, yes, the indies can rebound, or it could be very much like when WCW and ECW closed and you had all these wrestlers on the market, and it's like, okay, what do we do? Especially
Yeah, but
with Ring
that
of
led
Honor
to
being...
Impact and Ring of Honor.
I get that, but like, I would feel more comfortable about all these releases if I knew that ROH could rebound. And this wasn't the end of ROH, and we were getting a return of Ring of Honor, and there would be another company for these people to go to. I definitely think if Ring of Honor is going to come back, they need to learn their fucking role in the wrestling business. They need to do studio wrestling. Maybe
Well, I think that what they said they were going to do is their best option, to have non-exclusive contracts. They're still going to pay their guys well. You're still going to get a
They don't
pretty
get paid
nice
well.
paycheck to come wrestle for them.
You'll get a paycheck. I don't know how nice it is, but you'll get a paycheck.
Well, you'll get paid better than you will for working, an indie show in West Frankfort, Illinois.
Well, you get better than paid.
It's gonna be good enough. I'm sure you could live off of being consistently booked on most Ring of Honor.
I don't know, because ACH was there when ROH had a lot of buzz, and he said he barely made a living wage there. I'm just saying.
Really?
Yeah. Like he couldn't even afford his own car from this shoot interview that I saw with ACH. So it's like, it could be one of those things like the old territory days where, like, if you're the top guy, maybe you are doing really well, and if you're the mid card guy, you're, I don't know, but it's a paycheck. I'm not gonna discredit a paycheck, but I'm also not gonna think that, if you're working Ring of Honor, you probably need to be working other places, and that's what needs to happen.
And they would be able to in this system.
Yeah.
With their new system, where they so I think that's probably the best case scenario.
I think while I stand by placing quite a bit of my blame on Cornette and Bully Ray and not being ready for not grooming the next big stars to come and be big stars in Ring of Honor, while WWE, cherry-picked your top guys like they always did in Ring of Honor. To me, I think one of the biggest reasons when Ring of Honor no longer felt as special was the Ring of Honor champion was kind of used to represent, like, the top independent guy. Like, whoever the Ring of Honor champion was taking the belt all around the world and going, I'm the Ring of Honor champion, I'm the best in the world, come at me. That's what Samoa Joe did. That's what Austin Aries did. That's what Bryan Danielson did. That's what Davey Richards did. That's what, even, like, Cody did it for a little while. I think Cody was, like, the last ROH champion to really be like, come at me. This is the title. I'm going to go to Indies and I will be defending this title. But I don't know, it was kind of like after that, it kind of became it became corporate wrestling without, like, enough behind it to feel like a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I
feel like PWG just slid into that spot that they used to have.
Yeah.
As far as the best top indie.
Yeah. And they the Ring of Honor exists in its own little bubble, and that was like, always Ring of Honor kind of exists in their own bubble, but, like, to me it was, like, even more, like, compact, and that really hurt the company. And I'm hoping it's not the end. I'm hoping they can rebound. I'm hoping they can restructure. I'm hoping they can rethink things. I'm hoping there's still a Ring of Honor, because there is a ton of talent out there that are going to need a place to go. And if they can go to Ring of Honor for a week, and then go to the NWA the next week and do some TV tapings, and then hit up Glory Pro, AEW in Chicago, PWG, and hit up all these different indies, that will create a healthy indie scene again, and that is something that the wrestling business needs. But I feel like it's time
House of Glory seems like it's on an upswing too.
If we quit trying to play this, well, Team ROH, Team AEW, Team Impact, game, wrestling business would be a lot better. Now, Grant, I understand, like, in certain cases where it's like, hey, okay, we'll let you do indies, but you're not going to go to West Frankfort, Illinois, and lose to El Magnifico. Like, no, we are not going to let, Jungle Boy do that. We're not going to let Bandito go to Anafied Underground and lose to, whoever. I get that. But I also get that you need to let those people work, and they need to, use their star power to bring more eyeballs to the independents. And I'm hoping that happens. Anything else anybody wants to add?
Nope.
What's the do you have What are the matches on this card?
Well, I mean, now that Bandito's out, I mean, that's going to throw the whole thing in a tailspin. Let me do a quick Google search. Do-do-do. Final Battle 2021. Okay. According to the always accurate Wikipedia, we have Dragon Lee versus Ray Horace
Okay.
in a singles match. Chelsea Green and the Hex, Alison Kay and Marty Bell versus Miranda Elise and the Allure. Eli Isom, Taylor Russ, and Tracy Williams versus Valence Unlimited. I don't know. Brody King, Homicide, and Tony Deppen. Kenny King versus
Love
Shane
this match.
Taylor. The OGK, Matt Taven and Matt Bennett versus the Briscoe Brothers. Glad to see the Briscoe Brothers are on this show. Josh Woods versus Brian Johnson for the Pure Championship. Shane Taylor Promotions, Con Moses, O'Shea Edwards with Ron Hunt versus The Righteous, Vincent Bateman, and Dutch. I don't know who any of those people are. Dalton Castle versus Rhett Titus versus Silas Young versus Joe Hendry for the television championship. Funny note about Silas Young. First time that Nick ever saw Silas Young was at an ROH show, and he goes, "Hey, who's the guy that looks like he'd be friends with my dad?" Roxy versus Willow Nightingale for the ROH Women's Championship. TBD versus Jonathan Gresham, because that's who Bandito was supposed to wrestle. And a 10-man tag team match of TBD versus my personal favorite, TBD.
Oh, it's cool they got TBD. He's
I
pretty
know. That's
pretty
like
hard to
really.
book these days.
I know,
It's working
right?
a lot this show, though.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
three.
Are they hoping for Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stan?
Maybe. I'm honestly.
I would love for them to pull something out of their butt and get an ROH legend to fight Gresham for the title.
I was
Like
kind
if they
of.
could somehow bring in Danielson or
Yeah.
somebody like that,
That's
that
what
would be
I'm.
amazing.
Yeah, what would really be
Punk,
amazing?
anybody.
Yeah. Another thing I thought would be amazing, and maybe Tony, like, I don't know, like, how cool they are with Tony Khan and if they'll let him do it, or I'm not expecting.
Really.
Well,
Just
listen,
one night only.
listen to me. You don't know what's going on. You don't know about, like, hey, we are in a pandemic, and we do have a big fucking match next week. And it's like, okay, let's let Brian go wrestle Ring of Honor. Go get COVID and fuck up winter is coming. How about a no?
Yeah.
You know, so, like, I understand the logistics, but, like, I'd love if Danielson could be there or Punk could be there. I'd really love it if we could get, Davey Richards. I'd really love it if they could do a, Danielson versus Daniels versus Low-Ki one more time, the main event of the first show. But I also understand completely if AEW says, we got some big shit going on. Sorry. I don't want to get Brian sick.
Yeah.
I don't want to get Brian sick or hurt before this match that we've been building up to for weeks with Hangman.
And that's under the assumption that AEW is the hang up there, because wrestling people, promoters especially, are prideful people. There was some not so good taste left in mouths when AEW was created, so it could be on ROH that they don't want to work with AEW.
Yeah,
we
Davey
don't
Richards
know.
would be good too, though.
Yeah,
He's
Davey
with
Richards would be
NWA,
good.
right?
Is he
I could
MLW.
see that
hurt?
happening.
Yeah, he is
Well,
hurt. He is hurt because he was supposed to be at Glory Pro and he wasn't there this last week. So
Oh,
Davey
dang.
might be hurt.
Kyle O'Reilly. He's done now, right?
Yeah.
Possible.
Oh, that would be a good one. I'd like
Unless
to see Kyle
WWE
O'Reilly versus
snuck
Jonathan
in-
Gresham.
Unless WWE snuck in those bullshit no compete clause on Gargano and
Nope.
It
Kyle.
expired.
Contract
Oh.
is over. There's no non-compete.
He can be on Rampage Friday in theory.
He could have
Or in
technically. I think
theory,
either could have been on Wednesday.
Or in theory, they could be at AEW Newark for the start of the TBS era.
Or they
We
could
don't
show
know.
back up on NXT.
They'd show back up on NXT and go, they offered us a lot of money, you guys.
Like, look, guys, I got kids.
I've got a baby
Even
on
though-
the way.
Even though morale is extremely low and Triple H doesn't really have control of NXT anymore, and everybody kind of hates themselves, but we are NXT.
And you know what? That
God,
may
where
be,
the hell am I?
and that might be the case, but you don't know how it feels until you see that contract in front of you. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of money. That's a
I
Yeah,
could
lot of
see
when
money.
Gargano staying, and I wouldn't even
yeah.
necessarily blame him.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'd
wait,
love to
what?
see Gargano be the guy
Wait,
on
what
the
about Killer
Indies.
Cross? What about Killer Cross at Ring of Honor?
He
I
has
thought
a
so.
90-day non-compete
Yeah.
because he
Oh,
was a
fuck off.
yeah. Sorry.
What about Scarlett?
90-day non-compete.
Scarlett barely fights.
Yeah, yeah. They signed her to the main roster deal like 2 days before they released her.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's such it's
She's
such scum. It's like
she's been
you gotta like laugh at how like they fucking you gotta give them credit for like how scummy they are and how smooth they are with their scumminess.
mhm.
But yeah,
Does Gabe Sapolsky work for WWE?
I think Gabe Sapolsky's
No.
out of the wrestling business now. Not sure.
Oh.
Yeah,
I for some reason thought he worked
I'd
for
love for him to be
WWE.
part of the AEW booking committee, but yeah, ever since Evolve closed, he's kind of just been like, okay, that's it, thank you, I'm done. But I even
Yeah, I
remember
mean, he did
Oh
a
wait,
lot of good, though.
Miss
I even-
Ace had to give me a correction here. We were NXT.
yeah.
Sorry about
Um,
that.
I did just for shits and giggles. I saw Lance Storm tag Gabe in something on Twitter the other day. And I was like, oh, I wonder what Gabe's doing. And he's like, made it private, and he said, I'm no longer active on the internet. You know, thank you if you supported me. So it's like, I think he's just done. But who knows? I'd love it if Gabe came back to help with AEW because
Or even start his own thing up again.
I think he lost a lot of money on that. And I think he's kind of like, I'm good, bro.
On Evolve?
Yeah, that was his promotion.
I know, but I mean, I didn't think he would have necessarily lost a lot of money on it. But I mean, I didn't follow the financials of it, I guess. But
COVID ruined a lot of good indies. CZW.
wasn't Evolve shut down before that?
No, it was
I
gonna.
thought-
They were gonna
yeah,
do
I thought it
WrestleMania. No,
was.
they were gonna do WrestleMania weekend shows, and then like,
Oh.
see,
They
that
were
was the
kind of sponsored with the WWE though. Like
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
getting funding.
No like,
Um,
progress.
and then the other thing is like about those WrestleMania weekend shows for all these indie companies. Like, those are what for a lot of those indies what make their year. They make
Their
their
Black
Mhm.
Friday.
Yeah, that's their Black Friday where they
Yeah.
they make their money for the year to run from running WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, they want to be part of the most stupendous show of them all. God, that fucking tagline. Oh,
I guess that 2-day
God.
mania kind of cuts into that.
Yeah, I know. That's
Mhm.
probably, that's probably a reason why WWE does that, to be honest with you. But all right,
I
well,
don't think
Of
they're
all
thinking about
stadiums,
that.
though, of all stadiums, you're at freaking Cowboys Stadium here. You gotta go all out on this. No pun intended.
I mean,
Like this better be
I heard it's a cool
way better
stadium.
than 32.
I heard it's a cool
It is a
stadium.
cool stadium.
All right, but that is
Yeah.
it for us this week.
Even though the Cowboys suck.
I don't have a problem with Cowboys. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you enjoyed, please give us a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, all things geek culture. Check out my other videos. Check out the collection comic of the week. Check out the latest episode of the Geeking Out podcast where pro wrestler Dalton Anthony joined me again, where we literally geeked out about all of the action figures we own. I am not joking. We have a conversation about figures. And it's really fun, it's really enjoyable, and you should check it out. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeekA9, Twitter athletic_geekA9, Instagram athleticgeekA9. I am on Patreon if you would like to help this channel out financially. And like I said in the podcast, I'm using that to improve the channel. I'm not just buying more action figures with it. Please believe me. CJ, do you have social media?
Give us your money so we can do wrestling trips again.
And if you have a company that you would like to sponsor a podcast with, we will
Geek.
shill out anything.
Hi, this is the Athletic Geek for Clorox All-Purpose Wipey Wipes.
Oh,
Summer's
God.
Eve presents.
That's where I was thinking of going. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
You know what? Honestly, we should do like for intros. Like, did any of you guys like watch car or not watch? Did any of you guys listen to Car Talk on NPR or like listen
No.
to like the best of?
No.
What? Click and Clack, the Tapper Brothers? Oh my God, you guys got homework to do. But
You got
they
homework
always
to
started off.
do.
But anyways, they always started off their intro by saying like, "We're coming to you live from the da 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 da," and each episode was completely different, and it was hysterical as hell. I think we should do that. Like, we could do like the Scott Steiner Academy for Mathematics.
That's
Something
good.
like that.
How about that one, CJ?
That's where my brain melts.
CJ,
I
do
think
you have
I'm gonna
social
do that.
media?
I'm
Do you
gonna
have
do
social
that.
media?
I do. At CJ Team All Zero.
Easy, do you have social media?
Yes, I am on the Twitter at Eric Zarant. If you're going to be in the Newark area, well, my deepest condolences, but I'm going to be at All Elite Wrestling January 5th. I don't know why I just went British for a moment. I'm going to be at AEW Newark on January 5th, the beginning of the TBS era. If you'll be in the area, come say hi to me. Or if you're in the Cleveland area, January 13th, I'm going to be at Absolute Insane Wrestling at Ether. And Max Caster is going to be there because the Acclaimed is awesome. And if you will also be here for AEW Cleveland on January 26th, which will be my birthday, fuck you. Because I'm going to be in California.
Yeah. Why would you want to be in California? But anyway, Nick, have you gotten social media yet?
Yeah, follow me at Tumblr at Brian Danielson's Daniels and Brian's Inc.
Brian Danielson's Danielson.
Daniels and Brian.
Wait.
Danielson,
The Brian Danielson Center for Daniels and Bryans. For gifted Daniels and Bryans.
For wrestlers
They're like
that
the
can
X-Men.
wrestle good.
They're like the fucking X-Men.
Okay, new
Well,
suggestion.
actually, yes, they are like the X-Men. They got Wolverine, Brian Cage in there, so yeah, they're good. All right, this is going off
Guys,
the rails.
if you got ridiculous names, give us your names. We'll say that for you guys.
Yeah. Just don't be like Bulu. Anyway.
Yeah, comment
fuck.
any more
Fuck.
Brian's or Daniels.
Let's know. But for Nick, and he's and CJ, I'm the Athletic Geek. We's just Marks, and we're out. Have a good one.